Hello, welcome to my channel or welcome back. We're just going to jump right in today because this is a shadow work reading. So if you're here, maybe you've been engaging in some shadow work or been thinking about starting some shadow work. What I'm getting around this is that whether you're just starting, thinking about starting, or have been heavily engaging in shadow work, is that it is feeling a little overwhelming, right? So I'm going to talk to you guys about shadow work, about some shadow work practices, and then we'll take a look at what's going on with you guys and give you some advice on how to move forward. I want to start by saying that for most of you, you're holding yourself hostage in a way. And shadow work is all about looking at those parts of ourselves that we have neglected, that we feel ashamed of, that maybe we feel some guilt about having been, right? These are parts of ourselves that maybe we judge because society has taught us to do so. Maybe these are just, aspects of ourselves that we don't feel the best about, that we don't like ourselves so much for, um, you know, being part of ourselves. So oftentimes what shadow work is asking us to do is to gain a new perspective, and it's often a gentler one. It's a less judgmental one. It's one that is rooted in understanding. Um, and when you get through shadow work, the final stage is shadow integration, where we are taking that aspect of ourself and we're moving into the polarity of whatever it represents for us so that we can then integrate that shadow, that kind of neglected energy and aspect of ourselves back into our core being to be a more complete and whole being, and also more understanding and, empathetic towards others who may be struggling with similar things, and so that we can then help them, right? So if you're wondering where to start with shadow work, I'm getting that for a lot of you that are listening, there seems to be issues around like sustained work. There's a certain project, and it might be that like in your day-to-day life, maybe you have a job and you do that job and you come home and you handle all the things that you need to at home. Like to the average person, and probably to all of the people around you, to your family members, to your coworkers, to your friends, it seems like you have everything under control and everything is fine. Maybe there are some people in your circle who are familiar with the fact that you maybe have been struggling with some. I'm getting anxiety, like a lot of ruminating and overthinking. Um, the Nine of Swords isn't here in the spread, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're having these kinds of thoughts as you're getting ready to drift off into sleep. I'm even seeing someone kind of standing at their sink as they're like getting ready, and maybe you realize that you haven't been thinking about these things all day because you've just been so busy and so, you know, uh, kind of caught up in the day to day things that you have to do. But now it's like as soon as you get an opportunity to rest, all of these thoughts come flooding back in, and it really just floods like your entire system. Maybe even, you're experiencing physical symptoms as you're standing there, and it gets really overwhelming. And a lot of this is rooted in some type of perceived past failure. And I'm using perceived because whatever this was, and I'm getting it might be some type of business venture, but something where you really stepped out on your own, where you really invested in yourself, where you really had, some idea that maybe even people around you didn't expect or think would really work out, right? And maybe there was some level of success. Like maybe you were able to kind of get a new place or make some kind of big purchase. There was, maybe some financial stability for like a period of time. And then something happened where that stability was shaken. Maybe you lost a job, maybe you lost where you were living. Um, there was something where you just weren't able to completely do it on your own. And I'm also sensing there was some hesitation around asking for help. Like, I'm getting one of the things that we really need to interrogate are our definitions of what it means to succeed and what it means to fail. And even like the rules that we have around that. Like, do you only consider yourself a success if you did it 110% by yourself and like you have all of these scars to show for it when you could have had help and maybe it could have been a little bit easier and a less traumatic experience? I'm seeing a lot of like shoulder and back, like actual like physicality. maybe like some physical, like just I'm getting soreness around like your shoulders and your back, specifically like the middle back part. In our subconscious influence, I think you are really holding yourself up against like this past version of yourself. I think there was a version of yourself maybe before burnout, even I'm getting maybe before you took on some responsibilities. Um, I'm getting some of you had responsibilities thrust on you, and you're just the type of person who really wants to help people. So now we're holding a lot of things. This shadow work I'm seeing, and if you're watching this when it's uploaded, then we just had the Leo full moon. We're still really in that energy, and a lot of what is being asked of us right now is to genuinely look at the things that we are investing our energy in, and whether or not they're truly helping us. And that can take a lot of different forms. A lot of us right now are really being forced to look at the ways that we cope, the ways that we get validation, and just kind of the things that we do that for whatever time make us feel good about ourselves, and whether those are really lasting things or if they're things that are more rooted in the kinds of like insecurity and lack that we're trying to get away from. So if that's, I'm going to people for validation and I need to feel good about myself. So I need to know that you think that I'm attractive. Or if it's, I need so much money in my bank account, or I need certain clothes, or I need to drive a certain car, or I should have a house because I'm however old, or like whatever it is, right? There are a lot of things that we have been doing to kind of numb ourselves to what is internally poking at us. And the comforts around us are going to start kind of biting back, right? So whatever it is you've been kind of doing to avoid this shadow, if it's starting to not work so well, if you're even finding that it's creating more problems, that you're having to kind of clean up a mess of sorts to get back to like a baseline for yourself, you just are feeling worse and worse the more that you avoid these things. It's asking you to take that deeper look, right? Um, I think too, for a lot of you, there's a sense of you have disappointed others. That's a weight, that's a shadow feeling like, and I'm also getting there's probably a lot of people pleasers or some people pleasing tendencies here. Um, Saying no might be something that some people in this collective need to be practicing, and like just holding firm on that no and not feeling bad that you want to say no. Because I'm getting there sometimes where you can't do something, but I'm getting like there's even guilt for just being like, I don't really want to do that. And like, I want to do that for you because I care about you, but I really don't want to do that thing. So we need to practice just being able to, you know, be okay with the things that we do and don't want, and that they don't always align with what other people do and don't want. Um, And you're wanting to be more fair with our conscious goal here. We have a justice. You're wanting to find a balance. And this is in all aspects of your life. I think it's like when you can focus on healing, say, like one part of your life, say you really want to focus on like your familial relationships or something. So you really try to work on that. It feels like something else will fall out of place. You know what I mean? Or maybe you really want to get a better health routine. So you want to pick up going to the gym or something like that, and you'll start on with the gym. Then it's like, oh, my like eating habits or something like that. There has been a struggle to find a balance across the board. Um, so we're needing to bring a little bit more attention to the kinds of practices that will keep you consistent. And this is going to get a little tricky just because I'm also seeing I'm getting there's been a lot of time, not a lot of time. There's been some time that's passed where it's been intended for you to rest, but I think because you're so unfamiliar with rest, we haven't been actually resting. Um I'm seeing someone kind of spinning their wheels, and someone who is waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? Like things have been quiet. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot going on in the world right now. Okay. There's a lot going on in the world right now. I think you could also be one of those people that feels like you like, why should you be able to rest when you're seeing so much unrest? You know what I mean? Um, you're not a bad person for being able to take care of yourself as the world burns. You know what I mean? I think it's like a radical, rebellious thing to be able to find rest and safety and even some joy. Oh my God, God forbid. So there's been, and don't think that you're being punished or what I mean, like this isn't, you're not being reprimanded and there's still time. You still have time to rest. We need to find that peaceful place that we can return to easily and quickly. So we need to cultivate that. Be intentional about the time that you're carving out when you want to rest. Try not to lean so much. And this was came up again in the last reading that I did, about being a little bit more intentional, not just kind of getting into brain rot. What are the things that really make your body feel good? You know? Um, and as you allow yourself to rest, the things that are really haunting you right now, these like perceived past failures, you can allow yourself to give it the attention that it's asking for when you can really listen to what is going on inside your body and be able to correct. I'm not even hearing correct. What I'm getting is just the ability to sit with it is what we're working on right now. Just the ability to look at it squarely in the face and not be afraid. Because once you allow the sensation, I'm watching someone that's like, I'm seeing someone like the breathing is moving into almost like hyperventilating. So again, breath work might be something that's really important. But if you're someone who tends to spiral, then there is some shadow work that needs to be done around just what you think about, like what you think about your own life. I'm getting just someone that is taking a lot of cues from the external world, that is literally like comparing their lives and their achievements to, I don't even think you're very clear on what, because I'm seeing like multiple, like a succession of like pictures. Like I'm seeing like someone flip through a book of, if you had every successful person on it, like there's just multiple things. I don't think there's even like a solid thing. And I ain't even change day to day, where it's like one day you feel good about this area of your life. And then, like we do, you see something else and you don't feel good about it. And then it just goes back and forth, back and forth. So we need to get clear about what success looks like for us, about what happiness feels like for us. Because a lot of the things that, society tells us to care about, I don't think really matter to you. You know what I mean? But we need to get clear on our own belief system so that we can understand what we're comparing our lives to, that are constantly bringing up these feelings of inadequacy and want and lack. Um, Patience, of course. I was hesitant to even get into that because, of course, temperance wanted to pop out at the very end. Be kind with yourself. This takes work. Again, if you're just getting into the beginnings of shadow work, I want you to consider how long you maybe have gone not looking at some of the things that we want to address, right? So just give yourself grace when we think about, when people ask like, how long will it take for this to heal, or how long am I going to be, well, it's just be kind with yourself and give yourself time. Okay. There is going to be a beautiful, beautiful resurgence of inspiration. I'm getting like there's going to be some, and I'm seeing it like while you're out. I don't think it's something that you really expect to happen. And this could be maybe not even like literally physically, but when you allow yourself to go experience something new, there's going to be this real surge of inspiration that is going to remind you of something that you've forgotten. It's like a real like key factor on, as to why you wanted to start shadow work in the first place, right? Like what really was important. Because I know a lot of us don't really try to make meaningful change until we kind of get kicked in the dirt a little bit. But I think there's something that is going to be a more positive inspiration. If you're someone who's more fueled by like punishment and fear of punishment, there's going to be something that's a little lighter that will kind of get you back into gear. All right. We'll close with a oracle from the Love Who You Are Oracle by Angie Sullins. We pulled number 36, which is cultivate peace. Let's see what it has to say. Peace is possible in any given moment when you're not living in the future or the past. You're invited to unplug from your ambitions and let go of any regrets. Dwell in this moment only. Let this now have no anxiety and no shame. Both of those pesky guys, anxiety and shame, will be hanging around later, looking for attention, but you can decide for now to leave them outside your house of belonging. Surrender to the peace at the core of your eternal soul. Hug your heart. Submerge in a bath. Take a nap. Your peace is a friend waiting to be welcomed. I would say that's pretty on point. Allow yourself to have some type of peaceful practice, because that will make shadow work a lot easier. I'm telling you, when you can learn to be kind to yourself, when you can learn to take a breath as the overwhelm of anxiety and whatever other emotions that you feel start to impede. Is that the word I was looking for? Start to infringe is probably the word I was looking for. Just knowing in yourself that you are grounded and that you're centered will help a lot. All right, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that it was helpful. Thanks for sticking around and listening. If you want to drop a comment or a like, I appreciate them both, and I'll see you next time. Bye.